repeat your own words back to you in such a manner that just made you halt in your tracks. My ex-boyfriend, who I will refer to as Mistake, had this uncanny ability of always getting in trouble every time he went out. I would always tell him, I don't think you should go out tonight, I think you should stay home with me. But being the hardhead that he was, he would go out anyway, and then would always come home with this drama that had transpired. Like he lost his cell phone, or got into a fight, or spent entirely too much money. And I would always shake my head and say, well, if you would have stayed home like I told you to do in the first place, none of that drama would have ever happened. Which is sound advice, right? And I know it is, because my grandmother always used to say when a woman was giving a man advice that the goose always knows what's good for the gander. Well, one night Mistake and I got into this huge argument, and I decided to go out. And he's there shaking his head saying, I think you should stay home with me tonight. I don't think you should go. To which I respond with an eye roll, and I'm gone. Purposely leaving my cell phone at home so I don't have to answer those annoying phone calls that I know are going to start the minute I walk out the door. Well, after this great night out, I come back home and I'm at my front door, and I notice that it's bolt locked. And of course, Mistake is like the heaviest sleeper in the world. So now I'm standing outside knocking and then banging and then cussing and sweating. And I'm trying to pick the lock with a bobby pin like an old MacGyver episode when I feel two cops in back of me asking me if I'm trying to break into the place. And I tell them, no, I live here. So they ask me for my driver's license, which of course has an old address on it. And now I'm in a cop car headed down to Central Booking. And when we get there, I tell him, please just call my landlord. He'll vouch for me. I live there. So they do. My landlord verifies I live there. And then they apologize and give me a ride back home. But now I'm back to a bolt-locked door. But I've learned my lesson from the last time, and I decide to go across the street and use the payphone, thinking all the while that I was so genius for leaving my cell phone behind to begin with, right? So I'm there in a dark parking lot in front of a payphone and getting ready to cuss Mistake out to high heaven when he answers the phone. And I feel hairs on the back of my neck begin to stand up. And then I hear, give me your wallet. I turn around and, are you kidding me? I'm being robbed. At this point, I'm tired, I'm hot, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, and I'm bigger than he is. So the next thing I know, he's on the ground and I'm beating him with his shoe. I didn't even know I took off my feet. And that's when I'm about to kick him for good measure. Here come the cops. And now I'm in a cop car headed back to Central Booking. And when we get there, I explain the situation. Luckily, they find stolen goods on the guy because he had burglarized the house before trying to mug me. So they released me again. But this time I don't get a ride home, and now I'm stuck on Leopard Street at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I call my cousin to come pick me up and take me to her house because I'm just done with this bolt-locked door situation. So the next morning, I get home, and Mistake is sitting at the table, calmly eating a bowl of cereal, and I lay into him. I'm like, do you know what I went through last night because of you? I tell him that I got mugged and went to jail not once, but twice. And after I'm done telling this tale of horror, he puts down his spoon and says, well, if you would have stayed home like I told you to do in the first place, none of that drama would have ever happened. And instantly I'm halted in my tracks and can say nothing as he gets up and puts his bowl in the sink. So I learned a very valuable lesson that day. Sometimes you should heed your own advice. And it's true what they say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But apparently what's also good for the gander is good for the goose.